Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Cliff Horn. I'm one of the public information officers here at TRSL. And today we're going to be talking to you about mid-career, what that means for you as you are in your career here, covered under TRSL, and what you need to do to prepare yourself for when you're ready to make that transition into retirement. So, a couple of friendly reminders about everything that we're going on today. Uh, this general this webinar contains general information we're going to be using as a guide as we go throughout today's presentation. You'll be able to see the slides. It has an overview of what we're covering. For detailed information about TRSL and its retirement processes, we recommend going to our website at trsl.org to get all of the information that you needed. Also, to let you know that all of you are going to be muted today, which means you don't have to worry about any interruptions. Someone coming in your office or you needing to step away for a minute or answer a phone, not a problem. We won't hear any of those things. If you have any questions today, we'd ask that you leave those questions or type those questions into the Q&A box and not into the chat. There in the background is one of my coworkers, Miss Michelle. Michelle is my boss. She'll be in the background answering some questions for us. Jerry had to be was sick today, so Michelle's going to be filling in for her in the Q&A section in the background in there. We are recording today's webinar, so it will be available tomorrow if you want to go back and rewatch it, or if you want to download the PowerPoint slides, they'll be available on our website, again, at TRSL. We'll also have it recorded and placed on our YouTube channel. You can go to YouTube and search at TRSL Online and get that this recording plus any of the other ones. If today you have a specific question about your specific retirement date or some service credit or some sick leave time, any of those things that are personal numbers to you, unfortunately, with today's workshop, we won't be able to log in and access your files to see that. We'd recommend that any questions you have about your retirement, specifically, go to asktrsl.org. It is a webpage with TRSL where you'll be able to type in your question and send it over to the TRSL offices. We'll be able to process it, and then they'll send you back an answer and answer your questions directly to you instead of the general format that we're doing in today's workshop. What we're going to cover today, we're going to talk about the TRSL retirement plans. We'll talk about how your retirement is funded and calculations. We'll talk about your eligibility. When can I actually retire? We'll talk about some purchases and transfers of service credit, any leave credit you may have, that's sick or annual leave. We'll talk about the types of retirement that are offered. We'll go over some survivor benefits, community property. We'll talk a little bit about Social Security offsets, and then also a little review of member access and the TRSL website itself. There we go. Now, TRSL is broken up into different plans. Regular plans, those are the majority of you here today. That is our TRSL members who are teachers, admin, support staff, excuse me, university personnel, community colleges, technical colleges like those. We also have another group called food service workers who are in 20 parishes. Those groups are in our Plan B program. Plan B means that those parishes contribute to TRSL, and they also contribute to Social Security. Now, the TRSL fund itself, how do we fund your retirement benefit? Hopefully you've noticed, as a regular plan member, we take out 8% out of every paycheck that goes towards contributions to TRSL. Where a Plan B member, those food service workers in those parishes who also contribute to Social Security, they contribute to Social Security and they would take out 5% towards TRSL. We take those funds from you and we take a contribution from the school system itself. The school system pays anywhere from 24 to 27% from your pay, or equal to your pay, and contribute it to TRSL. We take all of those funds you've contributed in the school systems, we pull them together and we invest them. Those investments are done through us, and then the return on those investments, the interest earned, is what we use to pay out your retirement benefits. And these are lifetime benefits, meaning not like a 401 where it is a set amount of money in the account, you get it, and then when it's gone, it's gone. We are a lifetime benefit. You're going to get this check every month for the rest of your life. Now, when you pass away, there may be some other benefits that go to other people. We'll talk about that in a couple of slides down the road. How do we calculate this benefit? The benefit is calculated based on three things, and that is service credit, how much time you have in the system and have been paying into TRSL. The next one is FAC, final average compensation. That is really a fancy way of saying, what is my salary average? It is either going to be based on your 3 highest consecutive years or your 5 highest consecutive years, depending on when you came in to TRSL. Now, most people think when we say your salary average or 3 highest or 5 highest, it's the last years in your career. And it may be, but we always look at the highest years consecutively wherever they are in your career. And those are the ones that we're going to be using. In most cases, we use, it's going to be your last couple of years into your employment that we're going to use because our salaries hopefully go up as we get going. But some of us may have been a little bit different, and the salary may be going up, and then we've changed positions to a lower salary, and then going up again, and then back down to a lower salary. We're always going to look and see where the highest consecutive years are for your FAC. The benefit factor is a number set by the state. It is just a math number. It is either going to be 2 or 2.5%, depending on when you came into the system. Those three things, service credit, FAC, and the benefit factor, are multiplied together to give us the maximum TRSL benefit. That is the most money that we can pay out to you as a benefit every month for the rest of your life. Now, service credit itself, how do I earn this? Well, it's based on the year that you worked. And for us, a year is July 1st to June 30th, and you contributed to TRSL during that time period. You can earn up to a year's worth of service credit, 1 year. You cannot earn anything extra. So you're like, well, Cliff, I taught driver's ed in the summer. That added to my salary. That doesn't add more service credit. It does not. We can only give you 1 year of service credit for 1 year of work. Now, did it add to your salary? Yes. And we'll talk about the FAC change in probably a few minutes here. Just know that the service credit itself is going to be rounded to the 10th place. What that means is your salary, whatever it may be, or it's not your salary, sorry, your service credit. If you have 24.95 years of service credit, 24.95, we rounded the 10th place. That means it rounds up to 25 years of service, and then you're eligible to retire. If you have 24.94 years of service, well, that doesn't round up to the 10th place, which means you got to come back to work for about 2 or 3 more weeks there just to get that service credit up to that 25-year mark for eligibility to retire. The FAC, like I said, it's either a 3 or a 5-year average, depending on when you came in. For those of you who came in prior to January 1st, 2011, it's a 3-year average. For those of you who came in on or after January 1st, 2011, like myself, to the present, we are going to be looking at a 5-year average. So it's your 5 highest or your 3 highest consecutive years, wherever it is in your career. Now, you'll notice on these slides, there are also some caps in here. And what that simply means is that if your salary increased from 1 year to the next, greater than 10% for the first group or 15% in the second group, on paper, when we're doing the salary average, we can only go up to a 10% increase or up to a 15% increase. So let's say you're in that first group, that 3-year average. And from 1 year to the next, you got a pay increase because you moved to a new school, and it's now a 12% increase. For you as a salary, you get that 12% increase. For us doing your salary calculation or average salary calculation, it's not a 12% increase, it's only a 10% increase because that's as high as we can go for that year. And then the next year we compare, is it a 10% increase or not? We can go up to another 10% if we need to. It is a salary cap. Now, when they make rules like this, salary cap, they also make exceptions to the rules. So the salary cap does not apply to any increases given by state legislative acts. So in other words, a stipend increase for this year or a permanent salary increase. if those go in and they increase your salary greater than the 10 or 15% cap, those are exempt. They do not count against you towards this cap. If you have a school system, parish, college, or university-wide increase, so everyone got a pay raise, whether that is by percentage or a dollar amount, so long as everybody got one, those are also exempt from the salary caps. The benefit factor, 2 or 2.5%, is really dependent on when you started working in TRSL. For those of you that started prior to July 1st, 1999, it's going to be 2 or 2.5%, depending on how old you are and how much service credit you have. And we're going to show those slides in just a few minutes here. For those of us who came after July 1st, 1999, it's 2.5 across the board, no matter what age you are, so long as you meet the eligibility to retire. And then Plan B members will always be at the 2% factor when they get ready to retire. So when you're doing the calculation, it's either going to be 2 or 2.5, depending on where you fall into these categories. When will I be eligible to retire? Some of you are like, Cliff, I'm ready to go today. If you tell me what the time is, if I can go today, we'll end this workshop early. Well, it all depends on when you joined the system. There are different ages and service credit requirements. For those of you who came in prior to July 1st, 1999, you have 5 ways to reach eligibility. You have to check both an age requirement and a service credit requirement in order to be eligible to retire. You don't have to retire on that date, but that just means that's the first eligibility that you have. So the first one, age 60 with at least 5 years of service credit, or any age with 20 years of service credit for this group is going to be at the 2% factor. In order to get to 2.5, you have to be at least age 65 with 20 years of service, age 55 with 25 years of service, or any age with 30 years of service. All of those will be at the 2.5% factor. Remember, you have to meet both of those requirements. Be at least that age with at least those number of years of service credit. You can be older than that, but you just have to meet the service credit requirement. Or you can have more service credit than that. You just got to meet the age requirements. You got to check both of those boxes. For those of you who came after that date, and that is between July 1st, 1999 and December 31st, 2010, if you started work in that time frame, they made changes, and now it is 4 ways to leave the system. Age 60 with 5 years, age 55 with 25, any age with 20, and then any age with 30. You'll notice they eliminated the age 65 category, and they also made an adjustment to the any age with 20 years of service credit. You'll notice they added a little parentheses that says actuarially reduced. What that means is you are getting what's called an early retirement based on 20 years of service. And then we look at your age. If your age, let's say, is age 55 and you've got 20 years of service, you're eligible to retire because you've met that requirement. Any age, you've got that. 20 years of service, you've got that. Now we do the calculation, but there is a reduction that happens with your Social Security, or sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself about Social Security, with your retirement benefit. It is a reduction based on the number of years you are away from regular retirement age, which is age 60. So if you are 55, you're 5 years away, that means there's a reduction. If you are 56, there's only 4 years, it's a less of a reduction that happens. Each one has that reduction based on the number of years you are away from regular retirement age. Those of you like myself who started January 1st, 2011 till 6/30/2015, you only have 2 ways to reach retirement eligibility, and that is age 60 with at least 5 years of service credit, or any age with at least 20 years of service credit, actuarially reduced based on being away of age 60. And that's going to be all at 2.5%. And then for those of you who started later than that, and that would be from July 1st, 2015 to the present, you are still only 2 ways to reach eligibility, but they've made a small change. They've changed the eligibility age from 60 to 62. So what that means is age 62 with 5 years of service credit makes you eligible, or any age with at least 20 years of service, you're eligible, but it's actuarially reduced based on the age of 62, not 60. For those of you who have credit or time with other agencies, you're like, Cliff, I've been around. I've done other things besides this. This is not my first career. I want to be able to add to this. Can I transfer any of those previous employments over to TRSL? And the answer is yes, you can, some of them. So if you have service with a public school in another state, a private school or a charter school here in Louisiana, another state agency here in Louisiana, all of those can be moved over to us. Also, any military time that you have that you're not collecting a retirement benefit on, you may move up to 4 years of that over to us. Now, in moving this over to us, in making this purchase to move or transfer to move this time over, there's going to be a cost involved. And that cost means, that cost means you're going to have to move the funds that you had with those other agencies over to us, but also plus interest. And on average, the cost of that interest is 7.5% compounded daily in there. So it can get expensive if you wait. So if you said, well, Cliff, I just got here to TRSL, I did 10 years in Texas. Should I wait until I get ready to retire to move those years in, or should I do it now? You should do it now because of that interest portion. We want to get it in sooner. That way the cost is a little bit lower than if you waited 10 years. We're now looking at interest, which can be expensive for you. To move those portions, you will have to fill out some paperwork, and there is normally a cost fee involved in those, unless you're taking refunded service credit. And refunded service credit means I worked in TRSL, I left, took my money out of the system, and now I'm back. Well, I want to put my money back in the system. There is no accountant fee for that. But any of the other ones, public schools in other states, private schools here in Louisiana, military time, all of those, there is a cost involved in those. We have to have an outside accountant to do those costs and run those purchase calculations to do. So the calculation cost, I believe, is, I want to say it's $200. It is written on the form. Michelle, if you can type that into the chat box so I make sure I did that right. It's either $150 or $200. I know it was getting ready to change. So just if you put that in the chat, and then we can all share it with there. So let's talk about some sick leave, some extra time that you can also add in. So we've got purchasing, moving time over. What about your sick leave? Some of you have amassed a large amount of sick leave. You did not miss a day in your career. By the way, the cost is $200. Thank you for putting that in. What happens to that sick leave that I've allowed in there? I've heard the old phrase, I either use it or lose it. And that's not quite the case when it comes to your sick leave. So first that's going to happen is your employer is going to pay you up to 25 days of any unused sick leave that you have at your current day rate of pay. Now, after they pay you for those 25 days, the rest of your time is then sent to us. That sick leave is then converted into service credit. We will be able to convert up to 1 year of service credit at no cost. So as a 9-month employee, 180 days will get you of unused sick leave, will get you an additional 1 year of service credit. If you have more than that, we will send you a notice that lets you know that we've converted a 1 year at no cost, but you have extra sick leave left over on the books. That extra sick leave can be converted to service credit at a cost. You'd have to purchase the remaining sick leave to convert it into service credit. That cost is different for everyone here today. It is based on your salary at the time you terminate employment. Since we don't know what your salary is yet, we can't do that calculation. Annual leave. Some of you are 12-month employees who receive annual days, vacation days. So most employees, state agencies, colleges, universities, technical colleges allow you to earn annual leave. The school system, when you get ready to retire, are usually paid out 300 hours or 37 and a half days of your unused vacation days. Anything over those 300 hours, if you have more than that, you'll need to talk to your employer about that, because we do not convert any of that without a cost involved. In other words, we would have to, again, purchase any remaining vacation days to convert them into service credit. You may want to talk to your employer about taking those days at the end of your employment before your actual retirement dates. In other words, if your last school day is in May, and then you take your vacation days in June and then retire in July. That may be a possibility, but we always recommend talking to your HR department about that before you get to the end of your actual employment. The types of retirement that are offered. There are actually 5 different ways to leave the retirement system. And that is, the first one is service. That's the one we've been talking about this whole time, is where you stop working once you reach your eligibility. And then you start receiving a lifetime benefit based on the option you've selected every month for the rest of your life. The next 2 are what we call nest egg retirements, and that is DROP and ILSB. DROP is the Deferred Retirement Option Program, allows you to freeze a benefit based on the retirement options. That amount is taken and deposited into your DROP account while you're still an employee earning your regular paycheck with your employer. And then at the end of your DROP participation, you receive your retirement check based on the option you selected, plus that lump sum of money that is in your DROP program. DROP allows you to be in DROP for up to 36 months or 3 years. You do not have to be in all 3 years, but you can do up to 3 years. It is an optional program, which means you do not have to do all 36. You may come to us and say, Cliff, I only want to be in DROP for till the end of the school year. So from November until May. Can I do that? Yes, you can do that. If you want to do 6 months, you want to do a year, you want to do 2 years, that's completely fine. The paperwork when you sign up for DROP does not lock you in at any date that you want to retire. It just simply says, I'm going into DROP. And when I'm ready to retire, then I will let you know. The other program is called ILSB, Initial Lump Sum Benefit. It allows you, as just like it says, to retire and take a lump sum of money out of your retirement benefit. This taking it out causes a permanent reduction in your monthly benefit based on a calculation from the number or the amount of money that you take out in that lump sum payment. The other 2 programs are called deferred and disability. Deferred retirement means having at least 5 years in the system. You may terminate your employment, walk away from us, leaving your funds in the system. And then once you reach your age eligibility, age 60 or 62, you come back to TRSL, filling out your paperwork to retire and start collecting your retirement benefit. The other program is disability. If you're no longer able to perform your position because of a medical condition, you will fill out paperwork. You, your employer, your supervisor, and your doctor will all fill out paperwork, submitting it to a state medical disability board, and then claiming the disability. Having this disability means you are no longer eligible or able to work in a TRSL covered position in whatever capacity that was with us, or even in a private sector or another state agency or another state. So don't try to claim disability with us and then move to Texas and start teaching there. You will lose the disability retirement. For survivor benefits, one of the benefits you get by being vested in TRSL, 5 years in the system, means that you have survivor benefits. If you pass away while you are an active member, survivor benefits based on the amount of service credit you have will be payable out to your spouse and your minor children. Minor children are up to the age of 18 or 23 if you're a full-time student. If you are not vested and you pass away, any funds that you have in your contributions, the money you've put into the system, will be paid out as a lump sum to your named beneficiary or your succession. Community property. It's a great segue for us. Most of the payments that you receive from TRSL, whether that is retirement benefits, drop money, ILSB, refunds of contributions, or even death benefits, are considered community property in the eyes of Louisiana. The court system would ultimately determine which funds or payments are considered community property and if your spouse or former spouse is entitled to any of those funds. We do not pay out any of these funds to a former spouse without the court documentation showing them. So in other words, your divorce decree, if it doesn't show it, we have to get another document showing that they are entitled to a portion and what that percentage is, and then they will receive that payment after that goes through. Social Security is a huge topic right now. You've probably seen something in the news about the federal government having a bill called, I believe it's the 2024 Social Security Fairness Act, about eliminating government pension offset and windfall elimination, WEP and GPO, from Social Security benefits. So Louisiana doesn't pay into Social Security for the majority of our public employees, except for some food service workers. Those 20 parishes where they pay into it. So, but even though we don't pay into Social Security, you still may be eligible for benefits, either through employment you've had prior or a side job through that, or through a spouse's employment. You may be eligible for a spousal benefit. The type of Social Security benefit you are eligible for determines which offset program that the federal government will use on your Social Security benefit to reduce the Social Security benefit when you retire from TRSL and start collecting a TRSL retirement check. Take note, in no way is the TRSL benefit going to be reduced because of Social Security. It is Social Security that is going to be reduced because you're getting a check from TRSL, the state of Louisiana. Some of you are thinking, well, Cliff, if I move to another state that contributes to Social Security, I'll be exempt, right? Unfortunately, no. You're getting a check from the state of Louisiana, which means you are subject to the offset, either GPO or windfall elimination provision. For more information on this, there are two things you can do. First, we recommend going to the Social Security office, either local one in your area or contacting them with ssa.gov, and also taking a look at one of our workshops that we've done in the past on Social Security offsets, where we had a Social Security representative go into detail on the offset programs. As we get ready to wrap up, I know Michelle's been in the background answering some questions for us. If you guys have more questions, go ahead and start typing them in a minute. I'll take a look and we'll answer some of these live. But as always, want to remind you, TRSL is a defined benefit program. It is a lifetime benefit. It's not based on your contributions. It is a lifetime based on that math formula. If you're going to make any of those purchases that we talked about, and that's time with other states, other agencies here in Louisiana, or military time, all of those could increase your retirement benefit. And you want to do that earlier in your career rather than later. Also, all of those have to be completed and paid for before you submit your retirement paperwork. If you're interested in looking at drop participation, there is a window of opportunity, and we go into more detail. We have a workshop, actually we have 3 workshops on drop. We have a short form, a long form, and then a frequently asked questions form. All of these videos are available on our YouTube channel, but they talk about the windows of your eligibility and finding out when your date of when your drop window starts and when it could close. So you always want to be aware of those as you are getting ready if you're thinking about doing drop. For member access. So TRSL, the website itself, is a great resource of material for you to learn anything. One of the things that we have on there is your member access. As an active member, you can go in and look at your information that we have on file through our secure link into member access. In there, you can do an estimate to see, well, if I retire this year or next year, what kind of salary or what type of retirement benefit could I be expecting? You can also update some information, any name changes, mailing addresses, or email addresses. You can also do your applications for actually retiring or entering drop or ILSB. You can do those straight through the website on member access. You can also look at your beneficiaries, making sure they're up to date, and also look at your annual statements. Normally the annual statements appear in August, so you can look at your salary and your service credit history, getting ready to make those estimates to see if I can retire at the end of this year or next. To get into member access, you're going to go to the TRSL website, and in the upper right-hand corner, there is a little button. Let's see if I can get it to. There it is. There's a little button, and that little button takes you directly to our member access page. It's the secure side. From there, you will have to go in and log in your existing user. If you set it up when you started working, you'll type in your user ID that you created and your password and log in. If you've never logged in with us before, on the bottom left-hand side of this page, there's a register for access. There you'll type in some information about you, your name, social, your employment, your employer, some other information, and be able to register for access. Takes about 5 minutes to register. If you have any problems with that, you can always contact the help desk during business hours, 8 to 4:30, and they can help you either reset your password if you've forgotten it or register for your member access. On your member access page, there we go. On your member access page, like I said, it has all that information, your employment summary, your account history, your salary history in there, sick leave, your member account statements. You can also do things, like I said, change your name, your email address, your mailing address. You can also do an estimate for your retirement benefit or even apply for your retirement. All of that can be done through the member access page. With the page on the calculator, big thing about to do that is simply go to the My Estimates drop-down menu and select your retirement benefit, the estimate. The big thing you need to know is the date that you want to retire and whether you're a 9, 10, 11, or 12-month employee in there. And then you'll also type in your birth date of your beneficiary and then hit Create Estimate. In less than 10 seconds, you should see an estimate for you based on that information. Excuse me. If you have technical questions or something's not working right, you can always contact member access support@trsl.org. Everything we've talked about today, the forms are available on our website. You can go to the My TRSL section and look at the forms. All of them are listed in there for you as PDFs, which you can download, fill out, and then send it back over to us, either by number or by subject. Always click on by subject. It makes it easy for you to figure out which forms go with where. And you can turn those into us. The instructions are on them, and then how to send them in is also at the top of every form. Some of them require you to send us the originals, and some you can just send us, you can scan them and email them to us. So always read the top of the forms when looking at that information. For the publications, I know Michelle has dropped some things in the background, some of the publications like the sick leave brochure and the member handbook. All of those are available on the brochure section in the publications category, where you can look and updated all that information about those different types of retirement benefits or that information you wanted to get. Also are the webinars, like the one you're on today or the one you're watching this recording. All of those are available on our TRSL website under the webinar category. If you've missed one, all of them are listed there where you can go back in and watch them. And then there's also a PDF of the PowerPoint slides available for you as well on the left-hand side, where you can download that and scroll through those slides if you want. As a member who's in the middle of their career, the things you need to do now. One, you should already have member access. If you don't, jump on that right today. Doesn't take long to do. Making sure you've submitted important documents to us. That would be Social Security cards and birth certificates, divorce decrees, community property settlements, death certificates, things like that. Sending us copies of those sooner rather than later will help speed up your retirement process. Also, update your contact information. Make sure that the email address, we recommend the email address that you have on your member access be a personal email address that you check and not the school email address, simply because your school email address when you retire probably will not stay open and active. So go ahead and switch it to another email address that you use on a regular basis. Also, check and make sure your beneficiaries are up to date. Some of you, when you started your career, were unmarried and had no kids, and now you're married with children. And we need to make sure those beneficiaries are on file. It helps speed up the process. Also, now you're in your mid-career, you can start planning ahead for your future. Go ahead and do one of those estimates, either on the member access calculator, or if you have issues with it and can't work the calculator for some reason, or there's an error in your system, we can go back through and look at it. You can submit a Form 10 to us, and we'll be able to convert basically your information and turning it into an estimate and mail it back to you. All this information, like I said, is available on our TRSL website, and that's trsl.org. If you go to Google, search us, and then click on the link that sends you to TRSL's website. And that way you get all the accurate information from us at our website. We're here for you. If you want, you guys will say, well, I want to talk to somebody. How do I get in touch with someone? You can call us Monday through Friday from 8 to 4:30 at this number, 225-925-6446, or outside of Baton Rouge, 1-877-ASK-TRSL. You can also go over to our website at asktrsl.org. That's us. It's one of our websites that we have, where you can type in your question and your information and send it over to us as an email, and then we'll get back to you with an email response from our retirement system, the retirement center. They'll be able to answer any questions for you. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at some of these questions that Michelle has saved for us, so we can see what you had on your mind. So we had, okay. Someone asked the question, if you have drop to retire and you work another year after you finish drop participation, and then you receive a lump sum distribution, do you also receive your sick and annual leave payouts? Yes, you do. And then she also added in, are the accumulated drop funds of 8% from the paycheck still matched the 27% by the employer? No. So while you're in drop, you are not making any contributions to TRSL. So you do not have any service credit during that time. Your sick and annual leave are not paid out to you. Most of the time, they're either paid out when you start drop or when you terminate employment. You can talk to your employer about that, because they're the ones who will make those payments to you. So they're the ones who handle all that for you. Looking. So Abby asked a great question. This one's a little more complicated, but I'll explain it for you guys. She started in 2008, and she was part of Plan B Foods for food service workers. And then later, the system moved her to regular Plan TRSL. How does that play into my retirement? That is a question, unfortunately, we have to check with your HR department. They probably check with them, but normally what happens if something like that happens, you get moved into the regular plan. So then we use the regular plan as your retirement for the calculation. Now, for that first set of time that you worked, it will only be calculated at 2%, and then the rest of it will be calculated at 2 or 2.5, depending on when it came into that category, or when you came in to the system under the regular plan. I think those are the big ones. And there, we had a couple of other questions, but they were sent because they're a little more personal. So we're going to send those over to Ask TRSL. So with that, I want to go ahead and wrap us up here. Like I said, if you guys have any other questions, don't hesitate to contact TRSL. We're more than happy to answer those questions. This video is being, or this workshop is being recorded. It will be on our website later. It'll also be on our YouTube channel later as well. Also for our social media, we post a lot of information about upcoming events, like individual counseling appointments that are coming up this spring, or workshops that we will be doing live in different parishes around the state. You can get that information either from our website, or you can go to our social media pages and it'll be there for you as well. With that, I want to say thank you guys so much for coming out today, and we look forward to seeing you again in the near future. Thanks so much and have a good day.